At the baseball winter meetings in San Diego, Steve Molesky hanging out with Jim Callis from MLB.com and MLBpipeline.com. It's kind of a great site within a site. MLB.com covers all of baseball so well. MLBpipeline.com does a great job of minors, prospects, the draft coverage that you and Jonathan Mayo provide, Jim. It's really come a long way since you guys started that site, and you guys are two of the best. So
thanks, Steve.
Site's going great, huh?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We keep trying to expand our coverage. We're going to top 30s instead of top 20s this year. You know firsthand how much more work writing the top 30 is, but it's fun to write about prospects.
Jim, how about the upcoming draft? It's really different for the Orioles now. They had no pick until number 90 last June. Now they're going to have 4 picks in the top, I believe, 73 next June. How is the 2015 draft looking?
Okay. I mean, in the past, I think leading up to this, I had guys tell me that there was some anticipation this was going to be a good draft class. And it's just kind of okay. There's no clear-cut number 1. There's 3 guys at the top the Orioles won't get a shot at. Brendan Rodgers, high school shortstop from Florida, is number 1 right now. But there is depth. And so, in a way, I mean, you always rather pick higher or have higher picks. You don't not necessarily have the record that goes along with them. You'd rather go to the ALCS like the Orioles. But having 4 picks in the middle of the top rounds where they do is going to be good. And I mean, you and I were chatting a little bit off camera. The Nelson Cruz thing really couldn't have gotten much better. I mean, last year you were asking me, people are going to be worried. They've given away 2 picks. But the number 1 goal is to win at the big league level. And by signing Cruz and by signing Jimenez, it helped them win at the big league level. And now with Cruz, I mean, Cruz really couldn't work out any better. You got a guy for $8 million, he hits 40 home runs, he helps you get to the ALCS. You gave up a pick to get him, but now you're going to get one back anyway, so you just really deferred the pick a year. So it's a nice opportunity, and I can't remember the last time the Orioles had this many picks at the top of the draft.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Maybe that Brian Roberts time with Larry Bigby and that whole group.
It was like back-to-back years. I think they had like 5 or 6 in the first couple rounds of back-to-back years, and really didn't do a whole lot with them.
And I think one way that will help the Orioles, Jim, is last year, obviously their bonus pool to sign picks was very low because you didn't pick till number 90. But this year it'll be much higher, and money, if you save on some of those early round picks, if you can, will help you in other areas, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's the other difference too. Under the previous CBAs, if you look at last year where the Orioles didn't have a first round pick and a second round pick, you can maybe take a guy who had first or second round talent who slid in the draft and pay him first or second round money in the 8th round or the 10th round or whatever. Now you can't do that. So when you're not only losing the picks, you're losing really any kind of flexibility. But by having 4 picks in the first couple of rounds, it's going to give them much more flexibility. Maybe you don't give, I don't have the slots memorized top of my head, but like the 26th pick, it's probably like 1.8 to 2 million, somewhere around there. I might be a little off. But instead, you don't have to pay that guy that. Maybe you sign a guy for 1.5, and then you can add 500,000 to a guy later in the draft.
Exactly. Could be helpful to the Orioles this year. Now, Jim, the Rule 5 draft is coming up here tomorrow, last event of the winter meetings. It's always big in Baltimore because the Orioles always seem to make a pick. Have more players stuck with their team selecting them in recent years, or does it just seem that way to someone from Baltimore who has seen Ryan Flaherty and TJ McFarland stick?
I think that's maybe just Baltimore. I mean, there were only, I want to say, 9 guys drafted last year in the Major League phase, and only 3 stuck. The Orioles have been a little bit unusual. I think a couple years ago, didn't they, that's a blur, didn't they keep Pedro Beato? Or did they lose him?
Lost
okay, it's all blur. And they had the Michael Almanzar tried to keep. But anyway, so, with the Rule 5 draft this year, I do think, the Orioles, they might go back to, well, I don't know if they have a roster spot open, but I don't think guys are sticking more. It's actually harder to find guys because the rules have changed in the last few years where you have an extra year to decide on a guy before you have to protect him, and it just makes the pool that much thinner. They've just done a good job of picking players.
And every year fans seem to fear losing a player. This year you have guys like Michael Givens, Parker Bridwell, Brian Ward, even some people even throw in Garibez Rosa as a utility guy, some potential names they could lose. And so I guess it's so hard to have a handle on that, who they could really lose.
I mean, you could lose those guys. I mean, I think 3 of those 4 guys were in the fall league. Givens was out there, and he's a full-time pitcher now. Parker Bridwell, I saw him strike out 3 guys on changeups in the Fall Stars game. I saw him hit, I think, 94 in the gun one game. He's been inconsistent, though. Ward, maybe. I saw Rosa play out there. It's possible, because it's like the regular draft. It just takes one team. It's not like there's a consensus where 30 teams are going, man, we'd love to have Garibez Rosa. We're going to jump on that guy. But if there's one team that really likes him, thinks he can fill a role, just like with Ryan Flaherty or TJ McFarland. I don't think, when we were doing Rule 5 previews then, nobody was, Flaherty was a possibility, but it wasn't like, oh, this is a clear mistake. He's going to go at the top of the draft. What are they doing? But the Orioles liked him. So they could lose those guys. I'd submit you never want to lose a player, but if you do lose a player, most of the time, you're going to get him back. All the time, it's a guy you didn't deem worthy of being protected on the 40-man roster. So even if the Orioles do lose somebody on Thursday, it's probably not a guy who's going to come back to haunt the franchise.
Very interesting. Well, always great to talk to and interview Jim Callis. Check out his work with Jonathan Mayo, MLB.com, and the site within the site, sort of, a great site to go to for prospect news and information, MLBpipeline.com. Jim, thanks very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Jim Callis with us in San Diego on MASNsports.com.